Hi, my name is Chris Garcia.
And I'm Rhonda Solis.
And we're Latino Northern Colorado.
Today we're with Mäe Sandberg again with the All of Us research program. And we're really excited because we're actually turning the tables this time. Mäe is going to be asking us about our experiences in participating in the program, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and yeah.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate you guys inviting me again. It's always great to work with you guys. So I'm really excited to learn and have honest feedback from you guys. Thank you both for signing up and participating. As Latinos, my heart is super happy that you have two more to count on. So thanks again for, choosing to represent the Latinx community. So let's see. So I would love to hear, how has your experience been so far?
So when we first talked, you talked about the transparency and the ease. And I have to tell you, you were not kidding. It is just so step by step. They make sure you read everything. If you go too fast, it slows you down.
Yeah.
Everything is very detailed. And anything that you could possibly wonder about is in there. So the process has been really easy. Where I am right now is in the part where it asks if you want to know your future, medical conditions that could be part of what you have to face. And I didn't really think about it as much until it goes into the detail about it. You do need to be aware, obviously, if you get that information, it could affect, depending on what state you live in, things like when you want to get life insurance, and it could be almost considered like a pre-existing condition. It doesn't do that on medical insurance, but if you want to find out about, health insurance, and I actually had a personal situation at my work happen, well, not me personally, but a patient, which was kind of an example of this. I had a patient who had an appointment, he had to cancel, he had collapsed, they took him to the emergency room, and they found out that he had a heart condition that's genetic. And so he had two young boys, they're like 17 and 18. And so they're wondering if they should find out if they have it. But his concern was if they do find out, then again, that could affect if they apply for life insurance or even medical insurance for them. So it's one of those things that you really, really have to evaluate and find out how that works within your state. If it's possible that a life insurance company asks you if you've done this kind of research, and if so, that they can get copies of that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And so after I do a little bit more research on that, I'm ready to move forward. But Chris, you have really, went through all the process. Yeah. So I'm like really impressed to hear about, who you contacted, how you got that all set up. So how did that work for you?
I mean, I count myself pretty healthy, and maybe I have less concern of whether life insurance is going to accept me in the future.
Hey, you're never too early to start thinking about those things.
And I do have a life insurance policy already. So, I guess for me, it was just like, I really do want to know about this information, right? Like, I want to know, am I predisposed for anything? Is there an opportunity for me to know, like, will I be carrying anything that could go to like future kids or anything like that? And so for me, it was a really good opportunity to just kind of go through it. And I think Rhonda was right. The transparency of like, I was like, going through the steps, and then it's like, whoa, slow it down, watch the full video. And I was like, I just want to accept.
I wasn't joking about that.
But I think that the surveys are really interesting too. There was like the COVID survey as well as some of the other ones. And then the only issue that I really had was really linking my electronic health records. And I know that that's something that we were going to talk about anyways, but my electronic health records through Banner Health weren't really connecting. And so I actually went in and I got like the entire study done where they pull your blood and they check your pee and like all that kind of stuff.
All bodily fluids.
Yeah, they like checked my waist, and I was like, I gained COVID 35, so like don't judge me.
Okay, it's called a urine sample, not pee.
But yeah, they did all that kind of stuff, and I gotta say, like, super professional. They did it there at North Colorado Medical Center. And it was just a really wonderful opportunity for us to, or I guess for me to learn more about the people doing the research And it was
Right.
nice to know that like there were some local folks, but also I guess Banner, Arizona is a huge partner of all of us research. And so it was just really nice to, I guess, see that it is happening around the United States and that there are people kind of coming in and making sure that it's equitable, because the person from Arizona actually spoke Spanish. So it was nice to be like, well, good, because we have a large Latino population here. And it was funny because she actually had only gotten there maybe a few weeks earlier. And she was like, I haven't heard very much about the community here. I think like it's mostly white, right? And I was like, no, we're about 50% Hispanic Latino. We have like a large immigrant population, you know, like whether those are refugees from Somalia or Burmese refugees as well. And she was like, oh my God, this is so great. There was actually somebody, a Somali person here. What was it, like the day before or the week before? So she was excited about, I guess, the range of folks that were going to be coming in as well.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
How did you get to the point that you made the contact with Banner? What, like, did the process tell you to contact somebody and then that's how you found out about NCMC, or?
No, actually, when I was trying to put in my electronic health records, it couldn't find it and it couldn't find it. And then a phone number came up and it said, if you're having issues connecting your electronic health records, call this phone number. And so I called them, I got in touch with someone and she was like, yeah, we actually have a testing site at Banner Health, you know, like in Northern Colorado, go directly there. And that they said that that should speed up the process. I'll say that I did that test. I think it was like February 14th or 12th or something like that. And my electronic health records from Banner are still not connected. So I think that that may just take a little while. But great question, because honestly, like I wouldn't have known. It's just that that phone number came up and I was like, hello, and it was a live person. So
Yes.
Well, when you told me about that, I was like, oh, how cool. Now I know that I have somewhere I can go locally and they can, you know, do a urine sample and take my blood, all that other stuff. But yeah, so it's great to know that, you know, there's a place locally that I can go do all
You know,
that.
pee is a scientific term as well, so it's totally fine.
Okay, check. I don't think that's really.
Oh, well, you know, just to recap, I am, yes, it's fine. It's totally fine. I'm sitting here beaming because I am so grateful that your experience has been positive. Rhonda, to speak to your point, and I want to make sure that I address this, you're right. So, in terms of privacy for like pre-existing conditions and so forth, you know, all of us, the research program is covered by GINA, which is the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act of 2008. So that does provide protection for all of us, right? GINA is outside of research. It's just for every individual in the United States to be protected against medical insurance, you know, using information that is helpful to our health against us. However, like you said, the life insurance, disability, and long-term care in some states is protected and in some states it's not. So I took it upon myself to kind of reach out to the Colorado Attorney General, and I did I reached out to them and I asked the question. I've not received the full response yet, but I look forward to sharing it with you guys so that we can share with everyone in Colorado and they can make an informed decision on that. And it's interesting because when you go to the government website, it is based on local, state, sometimes even county. So it's kind of a hard space to navigate, but I will get that information for our friends in Colorado and I'll make sure to share it with you guys so that you can share it out to everyone else in Colorado, because I think that's a really important point.
That would be great.
Yeah, and I will also share the link to GINA, which is the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, so that you know exactly what is protected and what a great source that is of protection for individuals who are just trying to learn about their genetic predispositions and make informed choices about their health care. So to that point, Rhonda, I am grateful that you did look into it, and you're right, it does slow you down. So when I joined, I was just like Chris, eager to start.
Make informed decisions.
Yes, yes.
I
Very,
was
very
like,
much.
what? I just said yes to it.
You're like, yes. So I was
Yes,
saying,
yeah,
yes,
I
I know the
called Chris.
program.
I call Chris and I'm having this conversation. He's like, wait, what? Yeah. I marked yes. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I kind of wanted to think about it a little bit, just
Yeah.
to be sure. And he's like, I
As
marked
well
yes.
as you
I'm ready to
should,
go.
we want both participants, both types of participants. Some are just like, you know what, I am all in. I want to make sure that I can share my information. And then there are individuals that are like, let me think about this because this might affect, my future. This might affect my life insurance, my disability, and my long-term care. So you want to make sure you make those informed decisions, and that's totally fine. I love that you have the ability to say yes or no, right?
Right.
And
Well, and the other point that it kind of made you think about was that if this information gets passed to your doctor, there may be other tests that your physician is going to ask, for you to do. And although that is a good thing, you also have to, evaluate how does your insurance cover that? So is it going to be more costly for me? And so I just really appreciated how much detail it went into and made sure that you ask yourself those questions and really do a little research.
Yeah,
So
there was a ton of detail.
yeah.
it is. And that's that whole piece of transparency where we're like, we don't want to play into people's feelings. We want to make sure that you know what you're sharing and what the pros and cons are, because everything in life that you choose to do has both its benefits and some of its opportunities. So we just want to make sure that you guys know that. And likewise, I was talking to another team member and they were talking about how it can help also with insurance covering those additional tests when sometimes they're considered elective or sometimes considered like, oh, this person is overreacting and they want extra information. This way you can prove and advocate for yourself, hey, there is, there is a high probability that I have X, Y, and Z as a, as a potential health ailment. So when you share that with your doctor, they're more in tune with saying, let's go ahead and get this pre-approved through your insurance company because we really do want to see this through and see if you are, at risk for, breast cancer, at risk for Alzheimer's, at risk for a wide variety of conditions. But that is also, again, the pro and con is that, yes, it might cost more, but it also might help, advocate through your primary health provider to expand those types of more in-depth research for you health-wise so that you can kind of do it on a preventative side. So,
well, and that is helpful because, you see people who will have a stroke and then that's when they start doing testing. And so if you know that there's a predisposition for a certain condition and that maybe you need to take a little more care or, extra testing, then that's definitely, it can prevent that stroke that somebody else ends up going through before they start doing those real tests. And
yeah.
Chris is right. He's like really healthy. He really takes care of himself. And, he exercises and does all the things that he should.
And I should read more.
Where me, on the other hand, I probably should be doing more of that stuff. So yeah, I'm a little bit more slower in reading.
And both of those tracks, those two journeys are perfect for each one of you. And that's what we talk about. Everyone is different and unique and celebrating that. If you want to go all in, Chris, like you did, thank you. And Rhonda, absolutely, think about it and dot your I's and cross your T's. I did want to address, Chris, what you mentioned about Banner Health. So Banner Health is absolutely an All of Us research program partner. And the delay is really just in a matter of us being able to link those electronic health records. So I do want to say that thanks to you sharing that has been kind of a delay, I did share that back out to the All of Us research program to let them know, hey, you may want to reach out to those in Banner Health in the state of Colorado and let them know that, you're still working on it and we will definitely work on, linking those records because to your point, Chris, you want to make sure that we have access to that wealth of data, healthy and, non-healthy, all that information is super valuable. So thank you so much for your patience and for continuing to check in on that. And how cool, I didn't know that you had done the bio sample. So
Yeah.
You were not joking. You're like, I'm doing
Yeah,
it.
I did like all of it. They checked my piece. So No, I wanted to like bring up one final point about what we were talking about, in the sense that like this importance of advocating for healthcare and for procedures. I think especially we've seen the bias from our friends in the African American community, and that often healthcare does not believe them when they're having issues. And I think when there is something behind that, for you to say like, I have seen, there is research that shows, right? There is evidence of me having a predisposition for this. This is why it matters for me to get this testing, or why it matters for my insurance to cover these things. I think like that is power in science, right? That is power in science, and that is the power of science. That is no longer feelings, it's no longer anything else. It goes behind the bias and it says, this is an issue that I am predisposed for. Like, we need to make sure that I'm tested and you know, and potentially that I'm getting the treatment or the pre-work. I don't know what the pre-work is called, so that this doesn't happen to me, right?
Absolutely. You hit a really it's a passionate point for me personally and professionally, is that word power, right? This is meant to empower those who participate, in the sense that you're contributing to your community, you're contributing to a group of people that you represent, and it's also empowering you to take the reins of your personal healthcare journey and hopefully be able to have those informed conversations with your doctor that say, look, it's not a hunch. It's not that my abuelita told me, or that, you know, someone said, you know, right. La curandera told me. Right. I have ojo, like all of this stuff, right? It's not that. It's, here's the genetic data that I received, and I didn't know what it meant, but I requested through all of us a genetic counselor. And I'm looking forward to when that happens for you, Chris, because, and it might take a while because there's so many people, and I'm really excited to share like the number of participants, how much we've grown since the last time we talked. But once you have that data, you have the power to say, hey, I would like to speak with a genetic counselor to help me interpret this data and what it means to me. I mean, that is so powerful because, you know, you're young, you're healthy. However, let's see really, you know, what the results of that is. Because let's be honest, you know, our cultura doesn't sometimes share everything. They'll say, oh, they had a little sugar and you didn't realize that they had diabetes. You know, recently I found out every male in my genetic line has died of leukemia.
Wow.
Like, that's huge. I mean, I'm female, but am I at risk? What if I had a son, you know, and making those informed, you know, kind of decisions, like even family planning, thinking ahead, to your point, Chris, when you were talking about that. So it's really about the power of information. And also the power of not wanting to know too, because as you both know, when you go through that process, Chris, when your genetic information comes back, you can choose to see it or choose to live in bliss.
I want to see it.
Yeah. But how cool is it that you have the option? You're like, I want to print that out. I want to frame it, you know.
He'll frame it. He'll frame it.
So I love that. And I'm glad that, you know, here we are about a month into your journey, right? Because you guys started around mid-February, and you've already gone out, Chris, to do that. And it's okay, Rhonda, if you're still taking your time and redoing, you know, not redoing, but reviewing all of the information. Again, those two journeys are still wonderful because you are in charge of it. Versus, you know, sometimes when you go into a study, the information's taken from you and you don't know what happened with it, you know, and you don't get anything back in return other than the personal satisfaction of having participated. But we want to give back to our participants. And I think that this is a good way of honoring you risking some vulnerability to share your information with us.
Well, and I definitely want to, you know, reiterate the transparency. I mean, it is very, very transparent. And I mean, it will go through and make sure that you read it, because it will ask you a couple of questions, almost like a little test. So it's like, did you really read it? And so it tests you and makes sure that you're comprehending what you're reading and not going too fast, Chris.
Yeah, we send a ghost out and it like watches over you.
Enough to pass the test.
No, I do love that because to your point, I was trying to skip through it because I'm like, yeah, I know this. I work for. No, okay, I have to watch the full video. That's probably a good thing. It's
Right.
teaching me something here.
Yeah. So I really, I definitely want to, like I said, reiterate the transparency because some of these things can be a little scary and, that fear of giving your information and not knowing what's going to happen or, not really understanding the full process, the transparency, you guys, they have done an amazing job at making sure that is transparent.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure to share that experience along to those who have put this and continue to evolve the program. We did talk about, how you guys are partners. You're never subjects. That's not even a term that we use. You are partners. So you help shape the program based on the feedback that you provide. And I wouldn't be surprised that somewhere along the journey, there'll be like a satisfaction survey that comes out and it'll ask you for ideas of how things can be better or what other things that we can do. And please be vocal about it. Please know that people do read that and they do take it to heart. And again, you have the power of voicing that and making sure that someone does read it and takes it into account. We sit in these meetings and where they talk about what are participants, asking about next? What are some of the things that they're interested in? And, all that to say that you matter and your voice absolutely will be heard. So let me think. So we talked about how your experience has been, the ease of the process, or the speed, should I say, of the process. Chris was lightning speed, and Rhonda, you're definitely, looking into it, and I love that about it. And of course, the transparency of linking those electronic health records. So I know that some of our participants have talked about how initially when they sign in, they have to say yes to link their electronic health records to move forward. And they were a little nervous about that. And I was wondering if you guys had that experience where you had to say yes and then go back and say no. Because that is something we do want to address. We can link those electronic health records, but you absolutely can always go back and then say no to anything that you've said yes to. So have you guys gone back to say no to anything you've said yes to?
No, I haven't gone back. I mean, because I'm kind of on the same, journey that Chris is really, I do want to know this information and I do want to know and have that linked. And so I don't think that I would go back and change anything to know, but it is good to know that is an option. And so just reiterating that I think would be helpful. Just
Absolutely.
in the
Well,
process.
I'm glad about that. Chris, how about you?
I'll share that it's easy for you to say no, right? Like I think like as I've gone in, because I've gone in a few times just to see like what's the updates, what's next, like what else can I do? And I've been able to go in and say like, like there's an opportunity to connect like my Fitbit, right?
Yeah.
And so like I connected my Fitbit, and so they have all the information about my Fitbit. But if I ever want to remove it, I just, remove it, and it's that easy.
Absolutely. I love that and I myself am a participant, but my journey in the participation, world is different from both of you guys, and that's how it should be. It should be tailored to your comfort level, your ability. Some people may not have a Fitbit. And how cool, because if you wanted one, the program is actually sending some out to individuals who would like to have a Fitbit and then share that information with us. So we have about 10,000 available right now. I know.
I'll
So
get a new one.
Yeah. So feel free to, if you would like to, and you don't have one, it'll ask you, would you like one? And we can send one to you. So that's all about the equity of making sure that, if, would this benefit you? Because you get to see it in real time, right? So it benefits you every day. How many steps have I taken? And, I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't moved a lot today, right? So I need to get up.
They remind you to get up too.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that, I shared that with you guys as well. And then thank you for participating in the COPE survey, which was directed to the COVID-19 experience for our participants during the pandemic. We were able to capture about a full year's worth of data on how our participants were doing, both physically and mentally as well. The COPE survey did end this month, And that's so that we can kind of aggregate that data and kind of see how everyone's experience was for that time. And there might be other surveys that come post-pandemic-ish, right? Because we're still in the pandemic, even though we've made some positive strides in with vaccination and so forth. But this one will be more about like, how are you doing now? Have you been vaccinated? So forth and so on is what I imagine it being. So to your point, Chris, even if you did it for 1 month, it's still amazing information to have, as well as other surveys that keep popping up. So I don't
think
want.
like there's like 4 like
Yeah.
waiting in the wings for me.
Ah,
Some of them are like opening in April or things like that. So I see that they're like upcoming. So
that's
I'm ready.
great. That's really, really great. Well, I wanted to share with you and as well with those that are listening a little bit about like where we're at with our numbers. And so since we last spoke, we have 374,426 participants who've enrolled. 2 of them are you guys.
Yay.
And then 274,368 have completed all the initial steps, which is awesome, right? Like you've been in there. And 80.8%, I want you to hear this, 80.8% of those who've participated have been historically underrepresented in biomedical research.
Good job. Bravo, bravo.
And that is all because of working with amazing partners like you guys, helping us spread the word and sharing honest, information about what this is. And of course, I always share this with all our partners. Our job is not to get you to enroll. Our job is to make sure you're invited, that you can benefit from this, and that you are welcomed to be a part of this journey with us for the next 10 years. So thank you so much. Oh, and here's another data point: 52.25 racial ethnic diversity as well. So I'm like, what?
Good job.
So I always think about like before what research was like, between 1 and 8% of underrepresented in biomedical research.
More than 50%.
That's
Good job.
women, that's, the LGBTQI community, that's, individuals who are healthy, individuals who are sick, individuals who have a disability, who are deaf or blind. I mean, we're talking about everyone matters. So
We're talking about all of us.
That's right. That's right. So I just love that. And we currently have about 655 researchers who are gaining access into our data. So 655 people find our data, valuable and useful in their work. So I'm super, super excited for what they might learn from the fact that you and me have shared our information. So yeah.
May, we are so excited to have had you back. I'm
Aw.
excited to see what's next and what, like my next pieces. I know Rhonda's excited about her next process. And I mean, I just want to say that I'm so excited that all of us is doing the work to make sure that we are aware, that we have access, and that we are included in research, in healthcare research, right? And in health research that makes it equitable and makes us more available and our information, I guess, better utilizable by our healthcare officials and workers and doctors, right?
Yeah.
And that you can join and participate by visiting joinallofus.org. Joinallofus.org.
Absolutely. And it's in English and Spanish. And I do want to say, to your point, Chris, when you said you called the 1-800 line, there are amazing people who answer that line. So if you speak a different language, for our immigrant communities too, that we presently don't have those languages available for the All of Us research program, please know that a live interpreter will be there to assist and make that accommodation, as well as any questions that you might have, Rhonda. So for example, if there's something along the way that you're like, I don't know, you can call that number. You can also visit the Q&A section at the Join All of Us website. And there you can type in your information, put in your email, and within 24 hours you have an answer, if not sooner. So I love that, we try to communicate And sometimes it's a great answer, and sometimes you're like, well, I guess I'm not going to do that. And that's fine too. But you get to decide, how to proceed. It's one of those like choose your own adventure in the All of Us research program.
Well, and that's what's so great. I mean, people can participate and it's at different levels and just, what they feel comfortable with. So I appreciate all the hard work that you guys have all done in putting this together and thinking about all of those different things and making sure that, if you don't want to be like Chris and just dive in, there's steps that you can do. You can go this far, or you can go back and change your mind. And so you guys have just made it very user friendly, and it makes you want to join and be part of it, and be part of this research, because we all have kids. We're going to have grandkids, and the fact that we're at the table doing this conversation and participating and really finding out how we participate and making sure that research is about us too.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't have said it better than you guys putting it so nicely and wrapping it up with a ribbon. But it is my honor and always my privilege to work with all of our partners across the state. You guys in Colorado do a great job. You're great ambassadors of your community. I see all of the work that you do outside of your podcast. So it really is wonderful to work with you. Yes, you work too, Chris. You do too.
Chris.
Yes, yes. You're out there donating peas, so you're doing your part too. Yes, that's right.
I'm gonna get him a T-shirt that says that.
Yes, yeah. All of us reach.
All of us.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love, your feedback. Thank you for sharing what your experience has been. The good parts and, the parts that have been a little delayed, all of it is good. So I hope that you continue to be, active participants throughout the next steps of where All of Us goes. And I would love to come back if you ever have any questions, and I will not forget to give you the answer from your state attorney general as to the protection on that. So I'll make sure to share that out so that you can share it to your viewers and to your listeners.
Thank you.
Well,
you're welcome.
Will you again share the website, and so people who want to participate can participate?
Absolutely. So you can go to joinallofus.org/connect. And there you can, it gives you some information about the program. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a section where you can click Join Us. You can also go there to sign up to receive a newsletter. What's going on with this program? What is the information being used for? What are some of the latest news? And you get information like what I just shared, like how many people have joined, what's our percentages. That information is really powerful just to know. And as you see it going forward, you might be inclined to join or just be curious and share that information with others. And you can also choose to, just share the information with everyone else going through the site. And you can check out our research hub too, where you can see kind of like general aggregated data on, who the All of Us research participants are. So that's a really neat place where you can see like how many Latinos have joined, how many women have joined, especially this month. Like, we've hit it, which has been really great. And then the other piece too, for those that are a little more tech savvy and have a smartphone, you can go to the Google Play, that's for you, Rhonda, and look up the All of Us Research Program, or you can go to your iTunes App Store and look up the All of Us Research Program. And you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Twitter, on Facebook. And we will have a dedicated Facebook page, and I'll make sure to invite you guys, and we're going to start, sharing some information on social media, and I'll make sure to send that link to you guys so that you can share it as well.
Sweet.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Thank you so much for your time. And I know we're going to continue sharing our information and what the process continues to be like. So definitely keep in touch. And I would say, again, visit joinallofus.org/connect, joinallofus.org/connect, and participate.
Absolutely. Your voice matters. And, we are definitely powerful together. So it's been great seeing you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.